Welcome to the Hard Water Fishing Show. Jeff and Jason talk tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends.
We are alive, season 8. Holy crap. Episode 3. It's the last week of October 2024. And Jeff, we're going to talk about ice auger trends and new ice auger lineup for 2024. We apparently have not talked about this for quite some. I mean, we've talked about it, but we haven't talked about it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, man?
Yeah, I know what
Like,
you're
and a
saying.
lot, a lot has changed since 2017 in the world of ice augers.
It
Like a
has.
lot.
Yeah.
Namely, they've become quieter.
Yeah. I know. I know when you're out in the lake and you hear one of those gas ones fire, you're like, whoa, what just happened? What
I'm
is
usually
that?
looking for my little brother because he's gonna run that gas just because he's
Oof.
ornery and contrarian.
Oof. Well,
Yeah,
Northwoods Dave runs those too still in this shack.
the gas
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in this shack.
Yep. It is permanent.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's for the topic, which we're not there yet. So, Jeff,
No.
really the biggest question of the evening, at least as we get into this, is what are you drinking tonight?
All right. I got something from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Cheese? You got a cheese log?
No, it's a beer, not a
Eh?
cheese.
Oh,
Um, this is from New Glarus Brewing, which brings
beer
us this
cheese. Could be
the
beer
spotted
cheese.
cow. Spotted
Spotted cow.
cow, but
Yep.
it's not
Nuclear. Yeah.
spotted cow. It's from New Glarus, and it
Okay.
is called Dancing Man Wheat. So that's what it is.
Okay.
It has a story, but I'm gonna have to look it up because this is too small for me to read.
You got to use your phone and then you expand out
Oh
the
yeah, I do
picture.
that. Yep.
Yeah. Take a picture and blow it up.
Yep, I've done that before. Okay, here we go. Is what it says.
Hang on. Put your feet up, folks. Unless
Okay.
you're driving it, don't.
Yeah, don't do it in the car. Uh, if you dream of wheat, this brew will get your toes tapping. Since 1995, we have brewed variant style wheat beers exclusively for the same great taste that grows on malts on our own Wisconsin wheat. In a world full of posers, world full of posers. Dang,
They're throwing down some serious shade right out of the gate.
gosh.
Huh.
This is a true Hefeweizen, naturally 100% bottle fermented and hazy. Expect this beer to cascade effervescently into your glass. Oh,
You said
the
the word hazy.
yeah, yeah. I know that's not
Yeah.
not language for you.
I'm out now.
The rich, spicy clove kisses your lips. Oh, here we go. We
I
gotta
would,
open it now.
I mean,
Got a lot of stuff going on there.
yeah. I don't know, like who dreams of wheat unless you're a wheat farmer and you've just spent like hours bringing in your crop and staring at the wheat. You
Yeah,
kind of close your eyes and that's the last thing you see
it's wheat.
is
I don't know.
wheat.
When's the last time you saw a wheat field? I don't even see wheat.
I've seen it in movies, but not like
Corn,
recently.
like I see corn
Oh my
everywhere.
God.
I don't
Yeah.
see wheat.
Every day I drive anywhere here in Iowa. Huh. Well, so on to other things. So I really dug deep today for a beer. It's a very common beer, the beer I chose, but it's not one I ever drank. But for whatever reason, I'm unsupervised. So I was
Oh,
at the grocery store and I was picking up a pizza and other things for supper. And I thought, you know what goes really good with pizza is a beer I haven't had in a long time, which is Busch Latte in the bottle.
oh my gosh, Oh boy.
I haven't had Busch Light forever in a bottle, nonetheless. I think I probably had a Busch Light one can in the last year, maybe two, but I haven't had a bottle in a long time. So I thought,
I'm a
tonight's the
little,
night.
I'm jealous. I'm a little
You,
jealous.
I bet you are after your danky
Dancing man wheat.
man wheat beer you're drinking. All right. Ooh, it even had a little, you can't see it on the camera,
Effervescence.
but it has a little, yeah, a little effervescence of gloriousness coming out the top.
It's glorious.
I would say it's cold and smooth based on the label. Yeah, solid beer. It's Busch Light. I mean, it certainly, I would say, has some staying power in the market.
So I think we all have seasons, right? We all have seasons of beer in our life, and I feel like I've gone from Bush Light, which was college beer, very much college beer. When I
Yeah,
think of Bush Light, I
well,
think of college. And
sure.
and then we went through the craft phase, which has been going on for a long time. And now I feel like I'm kind of back with the Bush Light. I had one last weekend because it's just so light and easy to drink. And then somebody told me it's just because I'm old and it's an old man beer.
Well, I think I want to try to look this up, but it's really hard to see on the label.
Get your phone out and take a picture and zoom in
I
like you
know I'm
told me
gonna, but
to.
I'm trying to hope I don't have to.
Do you have to
Yeah,
look away from the microphone and
yeah.
camera to do that? Is
Well,
it clearer when you look away from
no,
the
it's the
camera?
lighting. It's lighting. So, most of us anymore, as part of any sort of weight management, we think about carbs.
Yeah.
And Bush Light's like three carbs,
Like 2 barrel carb or 4 barrel carb?
3 barrel carb, which is
Three
pretty
barrel
rare.
carb.
Yeah,
Oh,
what's your beer for carbs?
it has no carbs. There's none listed.
Yeah. Anyway, you got to drink a light beer so you can have more
Yeah,
pizza.
I like it. That seems like logic.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Moving on. Let's not dwell. Patrons, we want to thank you for your support as always, helping us put the show on. Patron of the show is Chris W. Cheers to you, sir.
Thank you, Chris, for supporting the show.
Jeff, you want to roll away with some listener news?
Oh yeah, we got some good stuff here. Starting, it's our third episode, so people are starting to listen and give feedback. Last episode, we talked about how do you attach your reel to your rod,
Yep.
and Chris or Chet W said clam rod tape is legit. So they have a bunch of different colors here. You can get blue, green, red, yellow, and it's like $10, so it's not expensive. But he says it works really well.
Well, that's it doesn't leave any sticky residue. It's worth a try. According to your link here, Jeff, it's about $10.
Yep. I'm a little worried because I tried this other like self-adhesive tape that the tuned up custom guys told me about. They said they really liked it, but when I caught a fish, it felt like my reel was going to fall off. It was too stretchy. Did not like it.
I hate that.
And so this looks similar to that. So I'm concerned that it's just like a branded version of that self-adhesive or self-sticking tape or whatever it's called. But I'll try it. I mean, if Chet likes it, if one of our listeners likes it, I'll give it a shot.
I mean, I would say generally the size of fish you catch, it's probably okay.
Yeah. I want to take a poll and everybody, when I say this, everybody who's caught a 29-inch walleye, say I didn't hear you, Jason. Did you say something? Did you say
You
something?
catch one big fish one time and you think yeah, it
Oh, okay.
sucks.
How
Yeah.
about everybody who's caught a 28.5-inch walleye and now say oh, I didn't hear you, Jason. What was that? Oh, okay.
I don't like your tone. All
All
right.
right. Anyways,
Gloves are
I'm
off
just
now.
having fun. We're
Gloves
just
are
having
off
fun.
now. All
Yes,
right.
we're
All
just
right,
having
buddy.
fun.
All
He's
right.
gonna
All
ask me
right.
who catches more fish next, and we'll get in trouble, but that's okay. So Randy A is from the Waterloo area and is also looking for a milk run of lakes.
Yeah.
So
Randy, I feel your pain, buddy. The Waterloo area is tough. There's a lot of those local lakes around the Waterloo area, but to have consistent eater panfish or walleyes is just a struggle, man. When I find them, I'll let you know. Maybe I'll shoot you a message offline about that. But
um I can't get it within an hour of Waterloo, but like within 3 hours, there's some lakes by my house. You can drive
yeah,
3 hours and find some lakes.
well, I think that's the struggle in central Iowa is, I mean, really, the river when the river's good, the Mississippi, otherwise Clear Lake, otherwise it's kind of like what I had talked about on the last show, is trying to identify which small county ponds are essentially in rebound and ready for some
Yeah.
action. So that's what I'm working on this particular year.
And Clear Lake, I've fished that once in the summer. I haven't fished it in hard water, but you and I fished that together many,
Hmm.
many years ago. The challenge I saw with that lake is, to your point, it's one of the few lake. It's the closest lake in the area. So if you go there, so does everybody else, right? I mean,
I
it's
mean,
very,
Clear Lake's an amazingly resilient fishery. They do catch some good fish out of that, considering the pressure it gets. The trouble for me is it's still 2 hours
yeah.
round one way, so it makes for a really long day to run up,
Well, and
fish, and come home.
we even find between us, it's hard to find somewhere in the middle. We've tried a little bit, and there are more lakes between you and I than there are
Hmm.
in Waterloo or the central Iowa, but even southern Minnesota, it's not quite the same as northern Minnesota, right? There's way more lakes up here.
Yeah.
So Ben M sent the message, and this is for our out west listeners. He said a good YouTube channel was Shifty Outdoors with your host Shifty. So
Cool.
yeah, but he's fishing in Utah. I watched this video catching some trout that looked like super fun. I was jealous. Like I'm like, let's go. So there must be a place called Chicken Creek where they were fishing.
What if is that a lake or a creek?
I don't
Or is it a
know,
dammed up creek?
but they were catching uh 19-inch trout. I don't know what kind of trout they were. I'm not a trout expert. I wish I could identify them better, but
Or
um,
if they're brookies?
yeah, I thought it was funny though. I watched the clip and Shifty goes, he catches one, and I mean these things hit hard. Like his rod is bending way over. He pulls it in and he goes, looks like 23, and his fishing partner goes, ah, it looks more like 19. He's like, well, it's 23 until I measure it. That was funny. So
Kind of like that 29. Anyway, um,
hey, we measured that. Uh, and he had a really nice hub shack set up, I thought too. Cole said he liked our beer commentary, and I thought to myself, I'm glad somebody does.
yeah, I mean, I like it, and
It's
it's
just
our
fun.
show, so we can do whatever we want.
And he's new to ice fishing and wants to catch pike. I would say put a
You know,
fun dog or something on a tip up. I don't know.
well, we know lots about that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's a great pike and panfish are probably depending on your location, are probably your best targeted species for someone just starting out. Because if you were going to just start out catching walleyes through the
Ooh,
ice, you'd probably quit, to be
yeah.
honest, unless you're really in a prime fishery. So, I mean, Cole, if you hit those weed lines,
Yeah.
big shiner, frozen shiner, fun dog. You want to
Fun
go fun
dog
dogs for hot dogs because, Jeff, why?
because they sink.
They sink. They're one of the only brands that sink. Fun fact, if you are in an area that has a Quick Trip or Quick Star's Iowa, Quick Trip Minnesota, Wisconsin, they carry fun dogs.
Mm,
So easy place to find them.
yeah.
Hook, couple feet off the bottom, edge of a weed line, you're going to catch some northerns if the lake holds them. Absolutely. And while you're doing that, you can jig for panfish.
I always like doing that too. I love tip up fishing when it's
Oh,
nice
it's
and
a
you can be
hoot.
outside. And I think the other part I like about that is, it's you can do it in the middle of the day. No matter if the sun is high, they don't seem to mind. The northerns are aggressive eaters, so they're coming.
I should do that more during the day, but I tend to get fixated on looking for walleyes regardless if it's a
Right.
bad decision or not, so
Totally.
I can't help myself.
Okay. This one, you saw this, Jason.
David K re-listened to all 91 of our episodes in a row.
Not
First,
as like he slept and stuff in
yeah, like
between.
he was at work, and so
Yeah.
he just started and listened to all of them. And holy cow, first of all, I was concerned for his welfare. Thank you, man.
Mhm.
We've got two more for you. I bet you've already listened to them probably, but thank you very much. And I think that's great. That's wonderful. Holy cow. So I can't believe we have 91 episodes.
We do well, and then we have more than that. I need to go back and look. We had 91, so then we had 92 and 93. So I think this is actually 94 that we're recording right now.
94.
We're gonna hit 100.
Well, and I think the thing that makes that number unique for us is that these are not 10-minute podcasts.
Nope.
On average, what, 60 minutes, you think?
Yeah, I mean, we have some that went 2 hours and some that went 30
I,
minutes, but
yeah, but
yeah.
we haven't done a 30-minute episode in a lot of years.
Yeah, that was the year I thought people wanted shorter episodes, so we
I
tried
remember
to
you
do
wanted
that.
to, and then we decided we don't care. Just turn it off and listen
Yeah.
tomorrow.
And then people said they didn't care. So yeah, I was trying
Yeah.
shorter episodes and it was
Yeah. It was a thing we tried.
my fault.
So, I
You can blame
mean,
me.
that's a lot of, it's 100 hours plus of content.
It's a
So,
lot.
like 3, 4 days, just sit and listen.
You might think after listening to that much ice fishing podcast that you would always catch a fish, but your mileage may vary on that. All right. We heard from Ole too this week.
We did. He had a really funny point. His point was we had an episode on ice shacks. We talked about the new ice shacks. And then I promptly said my goal for the season is to use ice shacks less. Which I think is true. It was a true it's a true observation.
Mhm.
Which also once again to remind our listeners that we're not sponsored. So we're not trying to
No,
sell you anything.
no,
But just because I say I might do that doesn't, and I'm going to try to do that, doesn't mean I don't think a person should own a good ice shack, because you certainly are going to come into situations where you cannot fish outside or it's just so stupid uncomfortable. So,
So, in
um,
that same vein, are we going to say after this that you should get a nice chisel after we talk about ice augers and get rid of your ice auger?
you, I've said that when you first start fishing, if there's a lot of community fishing that goes on in your area, you really don't need an ice auger. You just need a hammer.
It's true, I guess.
Yeah, because you just reopen some holes
You just better go on a warm day that lots of people fish on.
or have a big hammer. Both are,
They're
some
better
young guy
ways.
with a lot of gusto will be just fine.
Yeah. You're not getting through a frozen through a 3 foot ice hole, though, not with a hammer.
No, I mean, you gotta, you know, use your head about it.
All right. Show there's no fishing report yet because we're swimming still.
Yeah, it was 80 degrees yesterday.
I think I saw a video though of somebody in Alaska saying first ice fishing. Like I think way up, like Alaska, not northern, I think like not even Canada. We're talking Alaska.
Someday
Somebody.
when we retire, we'll chase that first ice wherever it is,
Yeah.
but we're not there yet.
Nope.
Show business. Best places to interact with us are on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Find us on our website, hardwatershow.com. And Jeff, our new website's up and running, right?
Yeah, I know we
That's a
almost
big
skipped this.
news.
We have a brand new website. It
Same
is,
address, though.
yeah, still hardwatershow.com,
Yeah.
but I have way more control over the content. I'm super excited. We have a blog section. So my goal is to get a blog for every episode, and we just have way more control over it now. So it was before kind of part of our hosting thing, and since we switched hosting, it's really cool. And we actually host our podcast now on Spotify. So we have video. If you want to see video either on YouTube or on Spotify, you can see us in person instead of just listening to us. But you can still
And
listen
that,
to us.
yeah. And I would say, really think about if that's going to ruin the show for you or not before you see us, because, you know,
I mean, yeah, yeah. So exciting stuff. I spent a few nights up too late putzing with the website. So give me feedback. Tell me what you like, um, what you don't like. We'll be putting some blog posts out there too, which I'm excited to get into.
and a big thanks to Jeff for putting all that work into that website.
No
If it
problem.
was me, it wouldn't have happened. So
Yeah, that's okay. It took me years to get it done because I've been talking about this for at least 3 years. So
and then he mutters words I don't understand, and then we didn't have it. But
style
finally,
sheets in HTML, and they're like, what? Yes.
yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
heck. So anyway, we're up and running on a new website. You can find us on YouTube at Hardwater Show. We're now hosted on Spotify, right, Jeff?
Yes. But
Is
you can
is
find
where
us everywhere.
Yeah, you'll
Like,
find us everywhere on Apple Podcasts, whatever obscure podcast hosting thing you use.
yes.
And email us at hardwatershow@gmail.com. We're on X at hardwatershow and also on Threads
Threads. Yes.
at hardwatershow.
Yes. Yep.
Fact check. We did hear from Dave. Thank you, Dave, for listening as always. And He sent us, was it just one fact check? I don't want to get fact checked on the numbers of fact
So
checks.
the one fact check isn't really a fact check because there's a debate. Last week we talked about whether Ron has a 24 volt or 40 volt ice auger. So of course this is the most important question we've ever answered. Um, but we don't know. Jason says it's a 24 volt. Dave says it's a 40. I don't know.
So, I've got to call into Ron. I imagine Dave does too, but who knows? Um, I fished with Ron when he first had this, and the blade was messed up and it kept erroring out. And I just remember when I he showed it to me, I remember thinking, huh, you got the 24 volt. That's the memory I have. Now, maybe that's completely incorrect, but I'm not willing yet to concede to Dave on that fact check.
Yeah.
And I will eat humble pie forever. He'll tell me forever. It'll be like the last thing he says to me when I die someday. That
24 volt ice chisel.
and two-row corn picker or whatever will be the two things he'll tell me when I die on my deathbed. But I'm going to stand my ground until I'm proven additionally wrong on this particular issue. So that's where I'm at. So we will boost that to the next episode for an answer.
I will say, and we'll get into this, but I think a 24 volt Strike Master has a place, but not when you are fishing Lake of the Woods with 3 feet of ice. I don't know if that would be my choice.
That's why
Yeah,
I remember it. Otherwise, I would
yeah,
have gone, oh, cool, 40 volt, like it
yeah,
wouldn't have registered. So
yeah.
who knows? We'll see. And maybe it was somebody else. Did somebody else buy a 24 volt?
I have a 40, which when I got it was light, but now is no longer light.
Did Sean's kid buy a 24 volt?
I don't think so. They have ions.
They have ions. So it's got to be Ron.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out.
It's not
Ron,
Matt.
I debated on calling Ron, but
I
then
already called him.
okay. All right. Current events. I missed the nice show last weekend, Jason.
I'm disappointed in you.
Steve from Ice Hole Heater called me last week and said, "Are you going to the ice show?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I'm gonna make it." And I didn't make it. So Steve, we had him on last year. He makes the ice
Hmm.
hole heaters to
Yeah.
keep your ice holes open. And he's like, "Hey, you gonna go?" And I said, "No, I'm not gonna make it." So actually I said I might make it on Sunday, and I did not make it. But
Was he also disappointed in you?
he was disappointed in me, I think. So we were
Yeah.
gonna try to meet up, and then it didn't work out. But there are three other ones coming. Two that I might go to: the Hardwater Ice Fishing Expo, which is in Blaine, Minnesota, on November 16th and 17th. And then, of course, the Big Dog St. Paul Ice Fishing Show on December 8th or 8th. I said 8th through the 6th, which would be like a travel back in time, 6th through 8th. So, and then I don't go to this one, but I always wanted to. That Dakota Angler Ice Institute. I hear such good things about that. But it's just too far away. It's in Sioux Falls. And that's November 6th through the 8th.
Yeah, if you attend one of these, shoot us a message kind of with a rundown or send us a video recording of yourself talking about it or whatever. We'll see if we can get you on the show.
My experience has been that most of them have the same people and they're kind of a traveling circus that goes from place to place.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like
Yeah.
but St. Paul, I, for me, St. Paul is where you're going to find the most niche or niche, depending on how you pronounce that. He looked at me like I was crazy when I said that. Anyways, he's still smiling at me. What am I supposed to do?
Go on, just keep moving.
The most interesting gadgets and gizmos that I love to see, I usually find at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I don't know if, this is kind of the upper Midwest ice fishing show routine. So I mean, if there's shows out
Yeah.
west in that area or out east in the Northeast, I'm sure be interested in hearing kind of what that looks like because I do think it might be a different cast of characters.
And if somebody needs somebody to man a booth in one of those places and you're willing to fly me there and I have to ice fish at the same time, I'd be willing to get on
I
that
was
train.
waiting, yeah, for the expense paid part of it.
Yes,
Or at
yes.
least get me there. I'll find my own food.
Yeah, there you go. I can eat something, at McDonald's or something. But
That'd
yeah,
be
so
fun.
that's the current events I know about. I don't know. And so I think that brings us to our topic, Jay.
Yeah, let's hit it, man.
All
Lead the
right.
way. Lead the way.
Lead the way. All right, we are going to talk about trends in ice augers. And I'm going to start this out, and I'm going to say Dave Genn said this, but I don't have the exact quote, but I'm still going to credit him with this. But he said, an ice auger is the most important advancement in ice fishing, more than any flasher, forward-facing sonar, or anything else, because if you can't drill a hole through the ice, nothing else really matters.
Hmm.
And even if you had the best forward image sonar and you had to chip through a hole 3 feet after 4 hours, you can't move anyway, so what does it matter? So ice augers are important.
I mean, I agree completely.
And so I did a little history here,
Are you gonna add like the Metallica song overlay to this section?
the Metallica overlay.
Yeah,
Like
nothing else matters.
I can't even do it. I don't know. I'm sure there's some copyright problem with that, but
Oh, I'm
not with the
sure
way I did it
it
because
would just kick the thing out so fast.
not with me singing because it's so bad that they won't even call
Yeah,
that. But
they're not going to call us to cover anytime soon.
so way back in 1873, William A. Clark got a patent for an ice auger to bore holes in ice. So that's when the first ice auger was thought about, or at least patented.
That just looks like a little. There's a picture of it. Are you going to put that on the blog? It looks like a drill bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean, your fish would fit through that hole pretty good.
hmm. So, but the reality is, um, from what I understand, there's a YouTube video out there by Butch Furman, who I don't know who he is, but he was doing Strike Master and Vexlar stuff, like
Okay.
a content. It was from like pretty long time ago, like 2007 or something, but still was fairly accurate for history. The history doesn't change,
Hmm.
from there. And he said in the 50s and 60s, they had those spoon augers.
Oh yeah, I've got one of them in my garage, I think.
I've never seen one or used one. Maybe I've seen a
Really?
picture of one, but I've never used one. Did you ever use one?
Hmm.
No, I've never used one. What was it like to use a spoon auger?
I mean, it's like anything. If it's sharp, it actually they work okay.
No,
It's just kind of it's got a sharpened edge on it, and you twirl it around just like anything else. And if the ice is kind of thick, you kind of have to get your shavings out and keep going.
it looks to me it looks like a twisty handle, and then it just looks like a big shovel or spoon on the end,
Hmm.
and I mean that's it.
Hmm. Yep.
So then the next thing was the Mora blade, those which I used as a kid, even in the 80s, but they said they came out in the 70s. But those were far superior, I guess, because had the two blades and you'd turn it like a manual auger, like you can go buy one today.
Hmm.
No, I would not want to use one. I'm not that young anymore, and it's super slow and it takes a lot of effort to drill a hole, but it does drill a hole.
I mean, the good ones really, if someone's in shape, me or you know, well, you're in better shape than I am. But, so remember when we were interviewing the guys that do the
Oh,
competitive,
yeah. Yep.
that's all hand auger. They're going through 4 feet of ice.
I don't care how good your blades are and how in shape you are. 4 feet of ice with a Mora manual ice auger is no joke. I did
I
it.
agree.
It's no joke. We kind of get into the next generation, which was um, the powered gas auger, which I think started out quite large.
Hmm.
And one of the first innovations with the power auger was a clutch. Because before they had a clutch, when you hit something or it got stuck, you just kept on spinning around.
Oh man, talk about tearing shoulders out. Holy crap.
That's really kind of, and then I think we're where we are today, which is the electric ice auger, which I think is the modern era. I found one ice auger on sale today that was gas, the 8-inch Stingray
Well,
by Eskimo. And you can tell how valuable it is because it costs $239 brand new for
yeah.
the whole thing.
I want to back you up just a little bit.
Yeah.
So electric augers running off 12-volt battery were around long before the battery powered augers, like the encapsulated battery augers.
Yes.
I don't think encapsulated is the right word, but you know what I'm
Lithium
saying.
ion, basically,
Yeah.
the battery tech.
Well, even the NiCad,
Yeah.
because I've seen, that people had them for fish houses and stuff like that. And they would run off a 12-volt battery, and there was
Like a
just
car
electric,
battery.
yeah, a car
Yeah.
battery.
Yep.
So it had just an electric motor attached to an auger, and you'd hook it up to the battery, and off you'd go.
So it was not portable like we would think of today. It was,
It was portable, but not portable.
well, we always use the differentiation. It's portable, but it's not mobile. It's not
Exactly. It's not
mobile.
mobile, not mobile.
And I think there was even smaller ones. Like I remember when I bought my first solo Strike Master, they tried to talk me into a electric one that used a like a basically like a Vexlar battery, something like that. So it didn't have to carry a whole car battery around, but you're only going to get a couple holes out of that thing,
Yeah, you wouldn't get much, would you,
right?
out
They
of a
tried to talk
Vexlar
me into it,
battery?
but yeah,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you would have been
So
really sad about that.
yeah. So I think they tried electric stuff, but it just wasn't gas was portable and easy until they came out with the current generation of battery. So it's actually the battery that did it, not the motor.
Well, and I think what powered that more than the ice fishing industry itself really was the battery powered tool.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
in
that
cars,
well, yeah, but
the tech.
the tech, the battery powered tool market, which exploded, um, how many, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe a little longer. I'll have to think back. Ooh,
But they had those in the
longer than
80s, but
that,
they
20
had
years ago.
yeah, they had electric cordless drills in the 80s, but the batteries weren't very good and they weren't very powerful.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, I can drive a big old screw with my 18-volt impact driver through a piece of solid wood without even putting a hole. An old an old drill would not even come close to doing that.
Well, I was trying to think. So I bought my first DeWalt 18-volt hammer drill, probably 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and still have it,
Yeah.
actually. No, I don't have that one. I have a different one because someone stole it out of my garage. But um,
That's not your fault.
no, same kind though. I bought a replacement, but um, that had enough power, so I would run my Mora
Yep.
hand auger with an adapter off of that with a 4-inch or 6-inch
Yeah.
blade, 4-inch for panfish around here. And you could do 20 holes,
Sure.
with thinner ice. The first time I saw that used, I'd never seen it before. You know who I saw using it the very first time? And I'm like, holy crap,
Who?
a Amish dude.
I thought they I don't know the rules, so
I don't
wow.
know, but it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I was like, huh,
Hmm.
that's pretty cool. I need to get me one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the river. He's
So yeah,
popping
so
holes.
but I think we can agree that the gas powered auger era is over.
Yes,
They
I
only sell
would
one new
absolutely agree.
they only sell one brand new one, and it's only because I don't know, would you buy one if you don't live by electricity? And I mean, there's some use case for it, but there's one in the market now, and it costs $239 because, you know, nobody wants them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's uses for them,
but not many.
but not many. It really would be that remote, no ability to charge anything
Right.
scenario.
Right. Yep. All right. So let's talk about current state of electric augers because we have said everything before then is out of date. I think a hand auger, you could always argue, might be useful in the right situation.
And needed.
Yeah.
So, like boundary waters,
Yep.
areas where
Yep.
certain devices are not allowed,
But nobody would ever take a spoon auger anywhere besides an antique store.
unless you're just somebody that likes to use old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you like to do it the hard way. Um,
Some people do.
And certainly, I guess if a hatchet or a ice chisel is all you have, then that's what you got. But you wouldn't choose to do that.
No, you wouldn't.
I have a checklist of things to consider about your ice auger, and then we'll talk about brands and stuff. But there's really
All right.
not that many brands out there. We're talking about four brands, maybe three or four
Well,
brands.
there's some, I was looking. We'll
All
get
right.
there. We'll
All
get
right.
there.
So you can tell me what I missed, but I did touch the heavy hitters. But
All right. All right.
first thing, and this isn't an electric thing, but don't make a rookie mistake and drill your auger halfway into the ice to make it stand up. Don't do it.
Do not do it. Do not do it. It seems like it's a good idea. You'll see other people do it. You'll even get away with it from time to time. And then someday it'll come back and you'll be the saddest person in the whole lake.
You will
Right,
have,
Jeff?
yep, yeah, you'll half drill it into the ice and you'll leave it and it'll freeze in and your ice auger will never be moved from that spot.
Unless
It'll-
you chip away
yeah.
with an
So,
axe.
so don't
So,
do that. That was
so
my
what
first thing.
happens here? Why? Why does that happen, Jeff?
Well, I mean, you put your ice auger, you drill a hole, and then maybe it's a little warm, like the sun's hitting it. It warms it up, or maybe the friction from drilling warms it up. And maybe it's during the day. And then it gets cooler and the sun goes down, and
Yep.
and and then you're like, it's time to go home. And then sadness.
Yep. There's some water left on your auger from a previous hole.
Yep.
The ice could have some porosity where the water seeps in,
Yep.
and it all leads to you being very, very sad about your life choices at that point.
And I gotta say that I've never heard the word porosity before, but like nice usage there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was good. Okay, so the next thing I think about when I think about electric augers, which is all anybody should ever buy if you're going to spend your hard-earned money on any kind of auger, I fish different. When we used to fish with gas augers, we would start the sucker up, get it warmed up, and we'd drill a bunch of holes. Then we would set it down, and then we would fish those holes. I often drill a hole or maybe two or three because you want to leave the hole get still a little bit, right? You don't want to necessarily drill a hole and fish out it immediately. But with an electric auger, I'm not going to go drill 100 holes. I'm going to drill a few, unless I'm like prospecting and looking for a depth or something like that, maybe then. But I still am going to drill many less holes with an electric auger than I ever did with a gas auger. I don't know if you do that, but that's what I do.
Drill less holes or less holes at one time?
I
Because I
think
think I drill the
both.
same amount of holes. I just think that I'm not like I'm maybe drilling like you said 3 or 4 ahead.
But you're still not going to drill them all because when you used to drill like 10 with the gas auger, you'd drill a bunch you'd never even use because you didn't want to shut the auger off and check the depth, right? Because then we'd have to start it up again, let it warm up again, get going again.
Yeah.
I still think you drill less holes,
Okay.
but maybe I'm right. You think you
I
don't.
think I drill more holes
Okay.
because I'm not like, I gotta go start that auger
Hmm.
and it's heavy and it's cranky
Yeah.
and it's gonna make a bunch of noise. I mean, I'm just
Yes.
like, oh, I drill a hole here and walk over here with my lightweight auger and drill a hole over here and down the
Al
road I go.
Although I have seen this, even though this is one thing to consider, we talk about them being quiet. To fish, an electric auger is no quieter than a gas
I
auger.
agree. I agree completely.
It
Yep.
it's crunching through that ice. They're
Yep.
not really hearing that gas motor running very much
No,
anyways.
it's the auger.
So they're not going to scare the fish away
We
less.
need laser beams.
Yeah.
Pew, pew,
Yeah.
pew.
So it still helps to like let a hole chill out for a little bit before you
Maybe
fish it.
maybe that'll be the next innovation, Jeff. Maybe we just named it here. Laser beams.
Yeah, but how do you not kill the fish or heat the lake up?
I, I think they gotta be the right laser.
Okay. Laser beam augers. You just push a
Yeah.
button and it's
Yeah,
in.
just makes a core.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a core.
Hmm.
You get a big core that just pops out of the hole. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like a pineapple core thing or
Like
apple
an apple
core.
core. You just
Yeah. Yeah. Except it's laser beams. You heard it here, folks.
laser beam ice auger. All right.
Yeah.
They do have
So,
LEDs built into them, which is nice that you can see where you're drilling, but I don't think they're lasers like you're thinking.
well, I mean, I'm going to talk to Pat. Maybe he can build me one.
One of the most important things right now, I think, is weight.
Yes. And as the older you get, the more you look, oh, that's a pound lighter than that. That makes a big difference by the end of the day if you've drilled 30, 40 holes.
And even in electric ice auger time, like I think I had one of the first electric ice augers with our group.
You did.
And it's it's probably like 6 years old, something like that. And when I had it, it was 24 pounds, which was on the lighter side of ice augers. Now it's on the heavy side of ice augers.
Definitely.
I think you should be targeting 14 pounds in that range for electric ice auger, purpose built. Now, if you get the pistol bit or something like that, it's even less.
My DeWalt with my pistol bit is just as light as you can get, I think.
I mean, I don't know what that weighs, but it's got to be less than 10 pounds.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think so. You keep talking, I'll do some
All
math.
right. So weight, pay attention to weight. Now, would I spend another $100 for 2 pounds? I don't know. Maybe. I would just get the lightest thing you could get.
Okay, so the
Uh,
pistol bit itself is 3.9 pounds. Remember that, 8 inch.
so
Eight
four
inch, three,
pounds.
4 pounds.
But that's going to be the same. Most of the augers now come with composite bits. So the weight difference is not going to be in the bit. If you get a composite bit, they're all going to be around 4 pounds, within a half a
Okay,
pound.
the drill is 3.4, but I need to find if that includes the battery.
Probably not because, they vary.
Okay, yeah, that does not include the battery. So 3.4, where are we at? What are we up to?
So what is 4.9
Mm-hmm.
and 3.4?
Yeah,
Okay. So 9 pounds, not quite.
and the 5 amp battery weight. Because that's what I run, 5 amp
Yeah.
battery weight.
Yep.
That's gonna be a little harder to find. Keep talking.
That's okay. Call it 2 pounds. Do you think that weighs 2 pounds?
No, no, no. 1.4 pounds. I found it.
Okay. So we got 3.9, 1.4, and what was it?
3.4.
3.4. So we're talking 10 pounds
10
ish.
pounds. Yeah, okay. 10
So
pounds. We'll call it 10 pounds.
10 pounds is the minimum you're going to get away with.
I think so.
That's so you go 10 pounds for a pistol bit style with a drill and the battery. You go 14 pounds for like a purpose built one. And then you're talking 24 pounds on the upper end, which is what I have, which is just because it's not current anymore.
Well, what are the new ones? I mean, we should know this. Like we're on
It's in
actually on a
here. No, it's in here.
podcast.
They're
Oh,
they're
you've
about
got it.
14. Yeah, they're in
Oh,
there. It's
oh,
about
okay.
14 pounds,
Okay.
give or take, right? Like, I mean, they're within ounces of each
Okay. So
other.
the ion alpha is 16 pounds with a composite bit,
Yeah.
and the lithium strike master
Yeah, it was like 15.
15.
The 24 volt. The 40 volt is closer to 20.
Yeah, that is so heavy.
Well, that was one of the first ones, and they haven't really updated it for a while. So,
What's interesting with the ions is they don't tell you, like they don't broadcast the voltage.
no,
Isn't that interesting?
it
Like
is. Yeah.
that's not something they chose to say, well, we've got 9,000 volts.
Yeah. 40 volt seems to be the kind of standard, and the 24 is kind of a little smaller, but
What voltage do you think the ion is?
I don't know. I'm sure somewhere it says the voltage of an ion because you're running 18-volt drill batteries, right? They're 18 volts.
No, 20s.
Oh, they're 20s. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is going to make me sound stupid, but 20 volt, the difference between a 20 volt, 24 volt, or a 40 volt isn't how much power they have. It's really more about efficiency than it is about power, isn't it?
The ion's 40 volt.
It is 40. Okay. So 40
Yep.
is just the standard.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we have a lightweight one, battery life. So this is something that isn't really available, but I will tell you from my experience, my Strike Master battery works all the time. I don't have any fancy heaters or warmers or coolers or anything to put my battery in. My 40-volt Strike Master will work at minus 30 and drill holes. Is probably not as many as it would if it was 30 degrees out, but it will do that just with me sticking the battery on there and being outside and doing my thing. My experience is ion will not do that. And I don't know about the Eskimo ones, but we saw that the ion ones seem to be way more sensitive to the cold.
But that's just been recently. I think when it was brand new, it didn't have that issue, did it?
They were like brand new, Jay. Some of those batteries were not very
Oh,
old.
okay.
So I don't know. That's just my experience. Tell me if you've had other experience, but everybody freaks out about like having coolers and koozies and heaters and all this stuff for their batteries. And my 40-volt Strike Master has always just worked.
The only time I've gotten like on my DeWalt ones where I've like intentionally just abused the crap out of them.
Yeah.
So the one time I had it out and it was like 15 below, but
Yep.
I had the auger like sitting like battery down onto the
Yeah.
ice. The
Right.
battery was sitting right on the ice. It got a little cranky. Um,
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just my experience with batteries and useful in the cold. It's not that ions aren't useful. You just have to be a little more careful with them, has been my experience. You have to keep them a little warmer.
so interesting story. One of my DeWalt batteries wasn't showing a full charge anymore after I put it on the charger.
Yep.
I got a picture of this too. I took a picture of the inside and I cleaned it, but I didn't take a picture of it when it was clean because I'm not good at this social media stuff. But um, I took it apart
Yep.
and the whole inside was rusty. Like the whole top of the
Oh,
electronics had kind of corroded.
yep.
And I think that's probably because, they get wet.
Sure.
And when I'm working on, because I use these batteries for other stuff than
Yep.
just ice fishing, so it gotten corroded and wet and had corroded in there. So I'm like, well, I should clean this up. So I'm looking around my workshop and I see a can of battery post cleaner.
Sure.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll hit it with this. And then, so I spray it and then I'm like, I hope there's not a hole in anything because liquids and lithium
Oh
is
gosh.
bad. So I
Yeah.
thought, well, we'll just see what happens. And
Yeah.
nothing happened. So I'm like, well, that's good. And so I wiped it down and
Don't
sprayed
try
it
this at
off.
home, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
So
Do not
don't
try
do
this at
that.
home.
Do
Yeah.
not use that method. I don't know what method you want to use, but I wouldn't recommend this one because it could have been
Yeah.
bad. But I had my safety squints. So that was good. Um, but it cleaned it up real nice and now it shows full charge and everything looks good.
So the moral story is they can get corroded, but don't do what you did to clean it.
Yeah. Well, the other moral of the story is don't trust the indicators
Oh yeah.
on them because that is a
Yeah.
circuit in and of itself that can get
Sure.
corroded. The
Oh,
battery was fine. It was
fine.
actually showing good voltage, but the
Sure.
indicator only showed part charge.
Interesting. Okay.
And for those that don't know, if you let them die, some of those 12 volt or those
The-
20 volts, you can bring those back to life.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of relevant for this because people use
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
DeWalt and Milwaukee batteries, like in their
All the
ice
time.
shacks.
Yep.
And so if you use them in your ice shacks, what ha can happen is if you leave a light on, you get this really small drain. And
Yeah.
so that battery, and then can with mixed with the cold, drains down so far that your regulated charger will not charge the battery.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So then what you do is you take jumper wires and you run them between a good battery and that battery.
Oh.
You jump it post to
Oh.
post.
Sure.
And then what that does is it puts a little trickle charge on on your dead
Yep.
battery and brings it up enough that the
Sure.
charger will recognize it and brings it back to life.
So
Now,
you bypass all the safety features
yes,
and
yes. But those batteries are 50, $60.
yeah, yeah, totally.
So, you know, you take your own chances.
Right.
I would never recommend it,
Yes.
but in the event,
Yes.
or send your dead battery to me and I'll take them.
You'll take them for free.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't want to fix them yourself, I'll adopt them.
So yeah, I mean, the other thing about batteries, I guess we talk about is, they seem expensive because they are. They're going to be over $100 for a purpose, like a 40-volt purpose-built battery or a 24
Yeah.
volt. They're going to be expensive. But I saw somebody say this and it made sense to me was let's say you have a gas auger. Even if you go buy like a gallon of gas now, if you get the good gas that wasn't going to kill your carburetor, I mean, you're talking $5 a gallon, $4 or $5 a gallon for the clear, gas. So like, yes, it is expensive, but it wasn't like you were getting free gas to run your auger before, right? So,
Well, I
and I know
mean,
electricity has a cost too, but I don't know.
yeah.
That's even hard to think about. So,
So you're on year 6 with your Strike Master. You haven't bought a new battery yet.
nope.
Ostensibly, if you had had a gas part auger, you would have rebuilt a carb by now.
Right. Yep.
And depending on your skill set,
Zero.
which is
Zero when
zero,
it comes to this.
you would have had to bring it to a shop for a
Mhm.
rebuild on the carburetor, which try finding a good small engine mechanic right now. So much is just a throwaway situation. So the other
Or
thing, and
batteries.
this is why, I bought a propane auger like in this
Yeah.
little blip of time
Yes.
between gas augers and electric augers. And I bought that for the same reason I love the electric is I don't have to mess with gas. I have no
Yes.
gas in my
Yep.
shack. I
Yep.
drive a Yukon XL, so like a
Yeah.
Suburban. I don't have to worry about gas fumes in my car, leaking
Yeah.
in the car. It's just nice to not have to
Yeah.
deal with gasoline and your fishing stuff, quite
Totally.
frankly.
Well, and even in your shack, if it spills, you got to bring your gas
Oh,
with you. It's just a mess.
yeah, it just,
Yep.
and then when you're on your longer trips, you remember, the gas cans bounce around inside the
Oh yeah.
shack and it gets a hole in it. And it's
Yes.
just
Yeah. It's
you spill it and then it's not good for the environment.
nope.
And of
All
course,
right.
lithium's not good for the environment either.
No, but they recycle it and stuff too. So don't throw those in the garbage.
Correct. Send it to me.
Yeah. So she isn't. They talked about cutting capacity. The way I think about cutting capacity is like how many holes you could get out of a battery.
Hmm.
I actually don't, for me, this has never been a problem. And again, my reference, most of my use reference is the Strike Master. I think I will bring an extra battery if I'm out very far away just to make sure something doesn't happen. But, I ran a 10-inch bit on like the woods and 3 feet of ice, and I think we did burn through a battery in one day, but just barely. So
Hmm.
I've never felt like, I don't know how much this is really an issue with any of them because the reality is if you buy electric ice auger, you're going to buy two batteries. You're never going to
Yeah.
go just with one. You're going to want to back up in case something stupid happens and you just need a backup because you need to drill ice holes out there. So with two batteries, I don't think there's any system out there that you can't fish all day long and anywhere for I
Yeah.
just don't see it.
Yeah. I would agree. And far as speed of cutting goes, there's a ton of different videos that people have done comparing speeds of augers. The iron alpha is supposed to be pretty stinking fast. Um, but gosh, unless you're in a tournament situation, I don't know that the second matters. I honestly think any of these products right now will work.
Yes.
If you are not fishing hardcore way far north, I think if you use um, products, construction, if you have construction needs, so you're in the Milwaukee family
Yep.
of tools or the DeWalt family of tools, I think you should get a pistol bit or a similar
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
auger.
Yep.
Strike Master makes a similar
Yeah.
auger.
They all do.
Both
Yeah.
will work great. I think otherwise, if you want a Strike Master 40 volt or an Ion 40 volt, I think they'll both meet your needs
Yes.
wonderfully. Really. I mean,
Yes.
really, we have a lot of
Yeah.
great options anymore. The Strike Master 24 stands out as a nice lightweight option if you know you're only fishing like you're fishing river, Mississippi River,
Yes.
you're fishing small farm ponds that have light ice,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Um, so to me, then the deciding factor becomes cost.
Yeah. I think it's
What can you
cost.
find the cheapest? Because they all work.
So I do think there's a couple differentiating things. I think if we talk about, and I'm going to talk about Ion and Strike Master more because that's what I've actually personally used. I've used always Ion and I've used my Strike Master. But reasons I would choose the Strike Master is, and I've used the 24 volt too, I guess. So I've used those three, the 40 volt and 24 volt and the Ion. Um, the The Strike Master 40 volt is kind of like a super duty pickup of electric ice augers. I don't know. That's how I think about it. Like it's very durable. It does what you needed to do, but it's heavy by today's standards. Um, but it does everything else you need it to do, and it's not that big a deal. I think the Ion works better. It's lighter, it's more ergonomic, uh, but the batteries seemed a little touchier to me when it was cold. But other than that, I liked it better. It was smoother when you drill a hole. My Strike Master can bind up a little bit and it'll toss you pretty well.
Hmm.
The Ion did not seem to toss me like the Strike Master did. It was smoother. It's the best way I can describe it. It's just a little easier. And you might say, who cares? But when you've been out in the ice all day and you drill a lot of holes, it wears on you. So having it being smoother is much nicer.
Yeah, the smooth, and I've heard some of our female anglers talk more about preferring the ion because of the
Yeah.
smoothness.
Yep. And so I think that is an advantage of the Ion over the Strike
Sure.
Master.
All
But
right,
other
that
than
sounds
that,
good.
like they both work and you're gonna get a hole and they're still way easier than the gas ones because my solo that I had, Strike Master solo I had before this, it was a gas one. It actually weighed pretty close to the same weight
Yeah,
as my Ion.
that thing ripped
Or,
holes too.
oh gosh, that thing would rip like, yeah,
It was a good auger. That was a
yeah.
great auger.
And then I sold it for like $100 because nobody wants them
Hmm.
anymore. But I knew I could let it sit in my garage and never use it again. Or
I would also mention if someone's listening to this show and they have one of these other varieties of augers, right? Like
yeah,
so the Eskimo, there's another one.
well, the ones we have
Uh,
here, we have the Ion, the Strike Master, and the Eskimo E40.
well, there's a Jiffy electric.
There is a Jiffy also that like the E6 Lightning. That's also here.
Yep. There's also,
That's
now
it.
get this. So, well, see, you didn't dig deep enough, Jeff.
Okay, so those are the brands that I had, and I have
Yeah.
only used the ones I mentioned.
Yeah. There's also a Ryobi 40 volt brushless ice auger.
Okay,
There is, hang on, I saw another one. A Landworks 8-inch heavy duty eco-friendly ice auger.
for not post hole digger, it's an ice
No,
auger.
it's an ice auger. There's a red back 40 volt ice auger.
What,
Uh,
what is that?
I'm just
Redback?
telling you, red back ice auger.
Is it like
Um,
$2? I mean, unless it's like two
no, no,
dollars.
no, it's on Amazon.
So
Um,
here's what I'm going to tell you, Jason.
there's also, hey, I'm not done yet, man.
All right.
There's also,
Purple
God,
back. You got a purple back?
no, no, what's that? Or who's the orange people? Isn't that
Razor?
orange? Razer has an electric, don't they?
Yeah, so I looked at their
Hmm.
website. Um, I don't know if they sell them anymore. Their website looked a little outdated, maybe is the best word. Like I looked at their electric one and it didn't have a picture. And then they seemed to only have they had like a I don't know. They still have a website, but
They were getting repped hardcore by all the
they
people.
were definitely were. Maybe they're coming out this year, but just their website looked a little out of date. Maybe they're fine. I've never used one. I'm going to tell you if I'm going 7 miles out in Lake of the Woods and want to make sure that my ice auger works, I would I would feel very good about having an Ion with me. I'd feel very good about having a Strike Master with me. I'd feel good about having a Jiffy because they're a good brand that they're known, and I'd feel good about having an Eskimo. I don't think the Redback is going to go in,
I'd feel good about my DeWalt.
and we can talk about this, but like
Depends on the
I
time of year.
I am fine with that with thin
Oh,
ice.
Landworks. I found a Landworks one too.
Yeah, I'm not taking Landworks. We're on ice.
Landworks,
Why am I going to use a
Redback.
Landworks ice auger to drill into an ice like
Yeah,
we're not on
Redback. I mean, the
land?
Redback has 4.5 stars, man.
Yeah, by like a bunch of people who
It looks just like an almost like an ion.
yeah, it sounds like it's just a knockoff, which amazes me. There's enough of a market to have a knockoff Ion,
I know.
but
Yeah, so oh, there's an Ego 8-inch,
yeah,
56 volt lithium,
dang.
anti-kickback. This thing's stout looking. Ego. It's got handles and
Hmm,
ice auger, high-low speeds, reverse function, can cut up to 2,500 inches of ice on a single charge.
okay.
5-year tool warranty, 3-year battery warranty.
Hmm,
You can get both an earth auger and an ice auger kit for it.
Interesting.
I'm
All right.
telling you.
I'm not
You
taking the ego. I'm taking the ice
oh,
fishing.
here's the weight, 34 pounds.
34 pounds.
34 pounds.
Does
It's
that come with a
stout.
pickup truck?
It's stout.
I just told you my 24-pound one was way too heavy, and you go to 36.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Sounds
anyway,
like it's not built for ice
I
fishing.
just want to make sure we're, giving everybody a broad market look, not just,
Well,
narrow.
like I said, Jay, would you, if you had all these ice augers in front of you, which one you taking out?
If I could pick any one of them,
Yes.
probably the Ion Alpha.
Yeah, there you go. I would be plenty happy with that.
Yeah,
Just make sure you keep your batteries warm and you'll be perfect.
I will.
Uh,
But in
yeah.
in lieu of that, I'll be rocking the DeWalt.
And there's nothing wrong with the DeWalt. I think that works great. I would, if we were fishing on 6 inches of ice, I would take your DeWalt. I would.
You're just jaded because I didn't have the handle.
Maybe it almost twisted my arm off.
Because you didn't have the handle.
Yeah, you're like, just put it
That,
up against your leg. And I'm like,
yeah,
this
it
is
worked
not
fine.
good.
You
Yeah.
just gotta put your weight behind it.
And you can tell to let go when it starts locking up, but your instinct is not to let go. It's just not. You just hold on until your wrist snaps in half because you're trying to hold on to this thing.
You just need to have the handle. It's fine with the handle.
All right. All right.
I'm gonna bring it along. I'll have to bring it along this year just to
Yeah.
show you it's okay.
And I'll have use my two hands on my two handles on my Strike Master and drill down while you're like got the handle and it's twisting and anyways. All right. So let's talk a little. There's a few more things. Blade style. There's some different blade styles. There's basically chipper and shaver. Those are the two options. Do you have a preference, Jay?
I've only ever really used a shaver. I've never used a chipper.
So I have a 10-inch chipper blade for my 40 volt that I used in my ice shack, my wheelhouse. I don't have that anymore, but when I did have that, and I was told that the chippers are better for redrilling holes. My experience tells me that's not true. The
Hmm.
shaver blades went through redrilling holes just fine, and I didn't think the chipper was any better. So, but I did use it for that. But I will be getting rid of that because I no longer have the wheelhouse, and I don't think I have any need to drill a 10-inch hole. But
Certainly not.
but
Unless we're going after sturgeon.
yeah, I'm probably not. Even an 8-inch hole is pretty big. All right. Steel or composite bit. What do you think, Jay?
Composite.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever buy. I have a steel one only because that's what I had with Strike Master at the time, 4 or 5 years ago. That wasn't as weird, but I remember, people would say, "Oh, the steel ones are more durable." I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
I
that they're any
mean,
better.
I am not easy on my stuff, and I haven't had any troubles with it.
Yeah. The only time I've ever really worried about my ice auger was when we put them on those racks, the
Yeah,
digger auger racks, and you crank down on them. I get worried that's going to bend them, but other than that,
not a
they're
big fan of those.
yeah. But everybody knows like they're super great because when you're out in the ice and you have like an ATV or a snowmobile, you can put this auger rack and you put your auger on it and you take this kind of like handle that like cranks down on
It's like
your
a hook.
like a hook with and it cranks down on there to keep it tight. But there's a small difference between tight and like bending it. I've never bent
Yeah.
one, but I look at it sometimes and go, and an ice auger isn't like uniform, so it's not always easy to get it on there the same way. So I do worry about that. But
Hmm.
um, all right. So the next question, Jason, I'm with you in composite. Hole size, 6, 8, or 10, or 4.
Once you start fishing out of an 8-inch hole, it's hard to go back to a 6-inch hole.
Yeah.
Um, Now that they have a composite auger that weighs 3.4 pounds at 8 inch, or whatever, what was it, 3.9,
Yeah.
3.4
Yeah.
pounds.
4 pounds.
I mean, you're under 10 or right at 10 pounds for the whole setup. I I can't, and the batteries last as long as they do. I just don't see not using an 8-inch hole. Um, Gives you room for your transducer, gives you more room if you have some freezing
Yep.
in. I just, if you're buying something new, I just think 8-inch.
I'm with
That's
you.
me. I don't like tens. I don't like tens for a couple of reasons, especially on heavily traveled recreational lakes. I think they're too big. I think small kids kind of
Hmm.
start getting into some danger in some of those bigger holes, those 10-inch
Yep.
holes. A Vexlar or Hummingbird will fit down a 10-inch hole.
Yep.
So some of those, more people's feet will go through a
Yeah.
10-inch sized hole.
Yep.
I just think I think and they're not needed really in the lower Midwest. Now, Lake of the Woods, I think a 10-inch hole is kind of nice. If you've got a really big fish on, it gives you some more playroom,
You're right.
but certainly not needed,
Right. Yeah.
especially trying to turn a big northern up a hole.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
that
right.
it's ends up being a lot more space.
You're right. And we've run a 10-inch bit on my Strike Master
Yep.
on Lake
And
of the
it's nice
Woods.
to have that extra space on for big fish. But man, you're fishing 20, you
Yeah.
know, panfish and
Yeah.
normal sized northerns. It's just not needed.
And I think eight's just what I'm used to. That's what
Is
I've
someone
always
making a
run.
10-inch composite though?
Yes, they make them.
They're making a 10-inch. What
Yep.
are the 10-inch composite weigh,
Ion.
Jeff?
Ion
And
makes
what's
them.
that weigh?
Um, I don't know. Look on the Ion website and they'll tell you. You can look it up.
All right, let me Google.
All right. They make them, and I think Strike Master does too. All right. Reverse. Jason, what do you think about reverse?
I don't think it's necessary.
I have it too, and they tell it like you can shove the chips down the hole, and in a wheelhouse it can be nice, but I, I don't know. It seems like an overhyped feature to me. Um,
I've done the chips down the hole because
yeah,
my DeWalt, I can
yeah, right,
reverse. And so I tried that. And you know the amount of crap it put in the water forever?
yeah, yeah, because
And
they just yeah,
and then the ice shavings kept working their way up the hole.
yeah.
I wasn't a fan. And maybe I didn't do it right,
Well,
but
and it kind of bucks. Like I've done it in my ice shack because it's nice when you get too many chips in the wheelhouse, it kind of comes up and you have to deal with them.
sure.
And I would use a slush bucket or something too, but I don't know. I mean, it works. I've used it, but they all have it, so it doesn't really matter whether or not you'd use it because they're all going to have it. You wouldn't sell one now without it, but certainly wasn't possible with a gas auger, right? You weren't going to get a reverse in a gas auger.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
no. I mean, you could, but
but you could. The next thing is, and they all have this now. I think some of them didn't, but like the point on the auger to make sure it
hmm.
doesn't walk. There was one I think that came out originally that did not have a point, like in the middle of the auger. So when you stick it on the ice, it doesn't walk around when you drill. But I think they all have that now. And hmm, what else here? Sharpen blades or replace blades? I don't know. I don't replace my blades as much as I should, so I generally just replace them. But I know Ole sharpens his, so I think depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, I need to get new blades this year, and I'm probably just going to get new blades.
Yeah. But I mean, my Strike Master is 8 year or 5 years old, and it has the same blades on it when I bought it, and it still works. But I'm sure it doesn't work as well, but you don't notice it over time. And I'm sure if I get
Yeah.
new ones, I'll be like, woo, look at this thing go. But it still went fast enough for me. Um, they talk about charging time sometimes in the features. And I'm like, I don't know if I care because I use my battery when it's dead. I put another one on, and when I go home at night, I charge it, and then it's full the next morning. As long as it doesn't take more than 8 hours to charge, I don't really care.
I tell you what, that Eskimo E40
Yeah,
is weighing in at 14 pounds with a 10-inch auger on it.
yeah, I'm actually, so I've been considering getting a different auger because I want something a little more lightweight, but I do like the power that 40 volt, and I don't know. I've been considering that, or I've been considering just getting a composite bit for my 40 volt to lighten it up a little bit. But yeah, that
The,
Eskimo looks pretty legit.
the other nice thing about Eskimo is that's got a 5-year warranty on it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I had a warranty on my propane one, and Eskimo treated me really right on that.
yeah. Yeah. I don't
So
get
whatever
too
that's worth. The
excited
one
about the
thing I
warrant.
would note
Yeah, go ahead.
on the Eskimo is it's got a 4 amp hour battery,
Yeah,
which is not the biggest battery in the world.
that's I think what my Strike Masters are.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think they're that much. I think that's
Okay.
pretty standard.
Okay. The DeWalt I tend to always use a five. I have a 5 amp. So,
So I think that's the voltage difference though, because you're running a
oh, that
20
could be. You're
volt
right. That's a good
and
point.
this is a 40 volt. So think about
That's
your,
a good point.
I always think about this as my trolling motor, right? So I have a 12 volt Tarova trolling motor and it goes so far. You have a 24 volt trolling motor.
Yep.
Yours doesn't go twice as far as mine does. Yours goes like four times as far as mine does.
Yeah.
And I
No, that's a
think
good point.
I
You're
think this
right.
is the same
That is
thing.
the difference. That's not apples to apples. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good. Thanks for pointing that out.
But no, I agree. I would love to check out this E40 because it looks
Hey,
pretty
Eskimo,
stout.
if you're listening, send us one. We'll do a review on it.
Yeah. Because I do like my 40 volts. The only thing is my StrikeMaster 40 volt, it's just a little heavy. If StrikeMaster would lighten
Mhm.
that up a bit,
Is
I'd
it
be.
heavy or are you getting weaker?
So I will tell you, it's 24 pounds, and I think I could get the composite shaft, which would probably shave off because I have a steel shaft or a steel bit on there right now because that's what it came with. I think I would lose at least 5 pounds with a steel versus plastic. So that would get me down to like the 19-pound range. And I go fishing like you've seen me when we go out fishing. I'll go on a lark. I'll take my fishing rod and my
Yep.
strike master in my other hand, and I'll just walk and drill holes. So
Yeah,
like
I know. No, you do that.
it's light enough for me to grab it and just go. So it's
Yeah.
not really that bad. It's just if I could be lighter, I would.
Well, and I think at the age of that auger is, I don't know that just buying a new bit for it makes sense.
Right. I know.
You're, I mean,
I
what
know.
is the max life of electrical components on electrical things like that?
See, I
And then
don't
you add
know.
in all the clutches and everything else.
It doesn't seem to work any different than it did the day I bought it. And
I
now
agree.
I'm not a pro. I'm not fishing 5 days a week,
Wouldn't it be
during the
nice if we
winter.
could though?
Oh God, yeah, it would be. But but I mean it seems like it works as good as the day I bought it, except I'm sure it's slower because I haven't replaced the blades.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then I get worried too. You get that like, well, it's been a workhorse. It's done great. Why would I get rid of something that works and trade it to try to save 5 pounds and then be mad that it doesn't work as well as my old one
Yeah,
did?
maybe they've cheaped out over time because that happens too.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I suspect the batteries will go bad, but I think the unit itself will last quite some time.
Okay. Well,
But
time will tell.
it will. It will do. All right. So what did we miss, Jason? Ice augers. We've been talking about them for an hour and 15 minutes. Well, not really, but we didn't talk about the K drill. So I don't have experience with the K drill, but that is out there and it is an option instead of the pistol bit that you have from Eskimo.
But
It's just
StrikeMaster also has a standalone
they do.
for a drill. I wonder if K drills kind of
They're
like they were
popular.
kind of first to the party to
Yes.
make a drill. They were very innovative
Yep.
and then then Clam one upped it and made a clam plate
Yes.
to attach to the K drill, which was
Yep.
really an interesting market
I know.
scenario where they actually made a thing to go with somebody else's thing to put
Yep.
somebody else's thing on.
Yeah.
If you think about that, right? The
Mm-hmm.
clam plate
Yeah.
was to attach a K drill to or some other type of auger and somebody else's drill.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Um, I just don't know. I don't know who makes K drill? Is that a whole like a standalone little company?
So I got the history of K drill. So there was K drill was started development 60 years ago by the Klug family, who made one of the first gas-powered ice augers in 1959. Jacob Klug built it, and he used a chipper blade. So it's a chipper blade versus like the
Hmm.
shaver blade, which some of us use. And it fractures the ice versus cuts it. And really, that's where it came from. But basically, they said they developed this a long time ago, but there was no good enough battery and drill technology to do it until this time. Like they were waiting for the drills that we use now with this, like you've talked about the DeWalt drills to kind of
Hmm.
come in and help enable that market. I mean, they're popular. I've never used one, but so it's hard for me to say I do or don't like them. But it's a lot like your pistol bit.
Mhm.
But they have different sizes though. It's interesting. I don't know if they just do this. They have a 6 inch, a 7.5 inch, and an 8.5 inch. But I don't know why they go half inches. There must be some reason that,
Well, what's funny too with the K drill is they put a float on theirs.
yeah,
So like everybody's solution to the problem of the
don't,
drill loosening up and the auger going down to the
yes,
bottom of the lake. So Eskimo just like, well, we'll just make a disc that's a little
yeah,
bit bigger than the hole.
right,
Problem solved,
yes,
But then it also creates a thing for when it's in your shack and this and that. So
yes,
it's just
yeah,
interesting, different solutions to the same problem.
yeah. I agree. I would like to try one out. If Cadrill wants to send me one, I will go out there and try it. Maybe you're more this is more your range. I tend to go for the purpose built ones, but
Yeah.
um, then there's the E6 Lightning by Jiffy, and Jiffy is just used to be huge in this. They're 19 to 22 pounds, so like a normal gas powered Jiffy, they're still heavier than everything else, and it's a 40 volt. Seems fine. I don't know. I don't know if it's compelling to me, really. It seems like Jiffy, like if you go to the main year, I don't know where they're selling them, to be perfectly honest. Like I looked at Shields or Cabela's and they didn't have these. So I don't know.
Wonder if they're more in bait shops and stuff anymore.
Maybe, which isn't bad. Support your bait shop. They're important.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I know the pistol bit, I heard something that they had like the version 2, but I didn't really understand what was different. But I didn't see anything on their website about it, but I thought I saw something about there's a version 2 of the pistol bit out.
Well, so I actually have the version 2 of the pistol bit.
Oh, oh, it's been out for a
So is this a
while.
version 3?
I don't know, maybe. I couldn't find any
Because
information on it.
the difference between version 1 and version 2, so the OG and the next one, which I have, is a centering bit.
Yeah, which is
The
important.
original pistol bit did not have a center bit on it.
I know to walk, right?
Correct.
Which I can't believe they didn't figure that out when they tested it.
You never know what's a patent thing,
True,
you
true.
know? They
Yeah,
couldn't get
true.
around. I don't know.
So I don't know. I still think I would go with an Ion or a Strike Master, and I'm very curious about this Eskimo E40, and that would probably be where I would focus my efforts on. But you know, I'd try out
Well,
K-Drill.
Ion and Eskimo are owned by the same company.
Oh, so they're really just different branding on the same thing.
Don't know, but they're
Hmm.
also owned by the same company. I'm 95% sure
Okay. So maybe the
that
maybe
they're
the
owned.
Eskimo is smooth like the Ion.
I don't know.
Oh, look at it, Jay, though. You can tell. You can't tell exactly, but look at the way the battery goes on. Remember, that's one interesting thing about the Ion is
Yep.
the battery has a little clip on it, and it looks the same on the Eskimo as it does on
Yeah.
the Ion.
Yeah, they're owned
So
by Artisan.
they look different, though. They don't look the same. If you look at an Ion, the shape of it is a little different.
Artis Sam owns it.
Yeah, they own a lot of things.
And they're Wisconsin company,
Yeah, yeah.
which is cool.
So, yeah, I mean, but I would rock any one of those. Totally be comfortable going anywhere I needed to go.
Yeah, the brands of this company that owns Ion and Eskimo.
Yeah.
So blinds, Barrett blinds, Cage, Castle, Earthquake, Eskimo, Fusion powered tools, Gazelle tents, Ion, Jiffy. They own Jiffy as well, Jeff.
Oh. So are they just fading that brand? It just seems
It could
like
be. Well, I bet they bought Jiffy. And I
um
wonder if there was, so
patents
sometimes they'll
or
patents, yeah.
yeah.
Nested tree stands, River's Edge, Taz, Territory Tents, Yardbird, Yule Tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, they own a ton of
Outdoor
companies.
stuff.
They're heavily into all things outdoors. Yeah, cool.
So Jason, I feel like if you listen to this episode and don't feel empowered to go buy the right ice auger or know what the current state of ice augers are, then you haven't been
You fell
listening.
asleep.
You fell asleep.
I've been yawning. I've been like putting myself to sleep. We
Okay.
we
All
usually
right.
don't. I mean, this is really kind of off topic for us from a spending an hour talking about one thing. Like we
Yeah.
never do that. Usually like our topic is, and we spend like 5 minutes and we
Yeah.
ramble the rest of the
Well,
time. So we have really dug into,
yeah.
no pun intended,
We drilled
drilled
into,
down. We have drilled down into this topic tonight, man. But
which was
guess what?
episode 1 and episode 94.
Yeah, we also have a very sad state of affairs in our legend tonight. You know what we have to
Oh,
do again?
okay. Know what though, Jason?
What?
I know we're going to be quiet, but you reminded me of a legend
Oh,
that we
you got a
should
legend.
talk about.
All right.
And I think it's the legend of the two corn picker.
No, that's not an ice fishing legend. I don't want to talk
We
about
were on
that.
an ice fishing trip.
I know. No, that's not a fishing legend.
All right,
Nope.
well,
Denied.
we're going to lose listeners if we go dark for 60 seconds again. So can we just ask them to send us in instead of just having dead silence in
I
our
think we
podcast?
got to do dead silence again.
You know how hard it was for me to watch
I
that?
know. I
Our
know.
listeners are going to think it's gone. So I can just edit this out later. All right. So we need a
Uh,
legend.
all right. We need a legend.
I will say
Some
one thing about, you mentioned we went deep on this one. Early in the season, we almost always talk about gear because we're excited to go ice fishing, but we know we can't go yet. But later in the season, we will actually go ice fishing and talk about actually going ice fishing.
we
It's just
will. And
just early in the
yes.
season.
Yes.
We can't go ice fishing, so we're going to talk about it, which is how
And
this
that
podcast started.
exactly. This is the roots of the podcast is to just two guys sitting around talking about stuff.
Stuff. All right. So send us your legends. Otherwise, we'll start having to have, I don't know, no more
Staring
legends.
contest. You ready? Ready, Jeff?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right. That's long enough. At least that's not so bad. So if you saw the video, you were scared and going, what the heck is going on? So, all right. I think that's the end of the show, Jay.
All right, man. Tight lines.
Cheers.
Five.
You've been listening to the Hard Water Fishing Show with Jeff and Jason,
Say goodbye.
one of the most unique podcasts on the planet, where we talk about tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends. We'll be back soon.
Bye-bye.
Till then, signing off.
Bye-bye.